Àdìbò àdìgbowó gbogbo wa agbowó owó tá fi dìbò. Ìyá mi.
What is going on in Ondo State today? I am a Yoruba person. It is a shame on the Yoruba tradition, on the legacy of Awolowo, who did everything possible to get the Yorubas educated. While you are being educated is simple. Knowing your right as a human being, getting yourself enlightened, being able to discern the difference between good and evil. But what we have today in Ondo State is a total, separation from that legacy. This is a total departure from the Awolowo legacy, whereby my fellow Yorubas went on the street. They started looking for the highest bidder, getting ready to sell their votes. I saw my comrades from the AAC challenging even the Yoruba women. They were telling him to get away. They told him to get out. That they were willing to sell their vote and it is their right. This is just a total shame. And of course, what Tinubu has imposed that terrible culture of money over values, of money over your cultural values. Tinubu has brainwashed our people. Everything has been monetized. Let us go into our religion institution. Look at what the pastor Adeboye is talking about. He's telling us that if it's not because of a prayer, $1 would have been 10,000. For people like me and the few Yorubas who are out there who have not fallen into that ditch of bigotry, who of course are still having that capacity to think beyond bigotry, let us ensure that we fight this battle. Because this is not about election alone. This is about the Yoruba sanctity, the Yoruba race. Who are we? Yes, we are in Nigeria, but who are we? If you call yourself a Yoruba person, you call yourself an Oduduwa Republic, are you building a nation where the people do not think? Is that what you are building? Are you building a nation whereby when they throw a bundle of money for them and everything about them will just collapse? Is that what we want for ourselves? Because what we saw in Ondo State is a total destruction of the Yoruba civilization. Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Raf.
Morning, Nee.
Yesterday was a show of shame of how poorly the Yorubas are currently. Because in Ondo State, there was a stinking reaction from the people who have been placed under hardship by the APC. I mean, let us take a look at this video.
Now,
in this video, they were begging to sell their votes. Right? They would rather suffer later. They begged to sell their vote for 10,000. And the Yorubas used to be deemed. In fact, Ondo used to be called the cradle of education in Nigeria. How true is this today? Looking at what happened in Ondo yesterday.
Cradle of education, cradle of education on the poto, that is on the mud. Cradle of education on where? See, let me tell you, APC inflicted that injury on Nigerians, but not stressed to the most educated state in Southwest, where you have most of their professors in law, professors of mathematics, professors of just name them. It couldn't have stretched to that or even developed to that level. This has actually indicated how education has, deteriorated in Yoruba land. The legacy that Awolowo left until death, before his death, was that state, Ondo, formerly, with Ekiti State, is the most knowledged.
Yes.
When you talk about knowledge in Southwest, Western Nigeria, it is Ondo State. But yesterday, it shocked me to the marrow that these communities, villagers, people are begging politicians money. They were begging the politicians to buy their vote. That will tell you how far the cradle of education, if not even in not only Southwest in Nigeria, has gone backward.
I mean, Mr. Raf, Ondo used to be the pride of Nigeria as a whole. I mean, we have the most professors. You look at it, you know, they were both together, Ondo and Ekiti. They used to be known as the fountain of knowledge. Yeah. I mean, but yesterday we saw the children, we saw the mothers, we even saw the fathers queuing. There was a young guy that challenged them. What is going on here? They were the one even telling the guy, you have no business here. We are ready to sell our vote.
Jesus Christ, that is the rate of poverty, you know, food drought, economic, you know, excruciating situation or condition in Nigeria, you know, has, brought down dignity of man. Do you know what? I think it has to do with the Tinubu. Tinubu has changed the narrative. The pride left by Baba Awolowo. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has changed that pride to what? Let me say shame and disgrace. Because they are the people we are, you know, reckoning or beckoning on now to turn their back at APC's dichotomy and vote, you know, buying. And yet they have drifted backward, yet they have succumbed to hunger, they have succumbed to poverty, they have succumbed to shame and disgrace by begging politicians to buy their votes. Why did they buy into selling votes, by the way? That is the question right away, because I know that every family in that state, they are educated people. I know they lead by example. You have Baba Fawemi, Gane Fawemi from Ondo State. That is, you have great people like, I think, Mimiko,
Afe Babalola from
Iroko,
Professor Babalola, you know,
Professor Babalola, of all people, the educational erudites, icons in Nigeria, have succumbed to what? Poverty, hunger, bad governance, brainwashing. Tinubu has brainwashed the southwestern Nigeria into a bigger, you know, mockery that Baba Awolowo, you know, even in his grave, is turning around from left to right, swerving, left, swerving, right, turning, because Bola Ahmed Tinubu has actually murdered history. The Ondo history we know is what? Knowledge. They are giants when you talk about education. And today, we have seen the worst election in the recent time, even last year on. I know that Ondo people stood by their foot, they stood by their reasons, they stood by what they believe actually, and gave Labour Party vote. Labour won in Ondo. They used the vote casted, the document of 2019. Ondo people cut it. They even show it on net, that this document you presented wasn't 2023 document, it was 2019. Actually, they stood by their feet and they were happy. Even you rigged Labour out, we actually knew we voted Labour.
But what has happened?
That was a pride.
What has suddenly changed?
That was a proud. They were, you know, a pride. They were pride to the Igbo man. We noted at our head that we actually knew you stood by the right person. That's Obi. They actually were, you know, they actually were a pride of Yoruba men, able-bodied men, educated men, men of substance, that Yorubas believe actually that Ondo gave their vote to the right man, Obi. But we've seen a situation whereby later, let's say 12 months later or 16 months later, there is an election here going on currently, and actually the Ondolites, Ondo indigenes, they began to deteriorate in reasoning, in thinking, and even generally they disappointed humanity to, you know, level of stupidity, because that was the level that it has deteriorated to. That currently all Nigerians, we know that APC have failed woefully. That if you conduct an election now, everybody could even walk out of the polling unit, turning their back at APC's, you know, government election, you know, conduction, which is always bad, which is always anomaly, which is always not free and fair. But this time around, they were begging for votes. They were begging for their votes to be, you know, for them to sell their vote, for their votes to be bought.
They were begging to sell
They were
their
begging
right.
to sell their right. I don't know what I understand.
Well, Mr. Ra, before this election, the former First Lady of Ondo, which of course coincidentally, I think is from your state, Anambra.
It's from Anambra State.
What's her name again? Something Akeredolu, Betty Akeredolu.
Yeah.
She was out there campaigning against the corrupt system. In fact, she said that APC have turned Nigeria to a zoo.
Wow.
But immediately she dropped that statement. You know, I mean, the
See the reactions.
the Ronus that sold their vote,
They started attacking her.
told her to go back to Anambra
Yes.
State. She even replied that, well, in Anambra State, our women are the one that pay those that
Those people that are selling votes. And my reaction was that, you know, Concord may Anambra State still remain the giant, you know, economically in Nigeria, even in West Africa, because when it matters most, we actually proved whom we are. A vote seller, a vote buyer, confronted an Anambra woman. Of course, you know, either Akeredolu's wife is from, I think he's from Anambra State, not the other man. Ayedatiwa's wife is not from Igbo.
No.
Akeredolu's wife, let me tell you, she actually indicated that in her state, don't know what to understand, a woman disgraced APC vote buyers. Do you know what? The APC vote buyer approached this Anambra woman with 5,000 naira. The woman shout in our language, hey, it's only this 5,000 when Fulanis are busy killing our farmers all over Nigeria, in Anambra, in Imo, and they want me to sell my vote 5,000 naira. Wait, Oga, wait. He collected the 5, left hand. Then with right hand, she removed 20,000 from her bag, women bag, you know, this female bag, portable bag, and gave back to the vote seller. I said, you see it, you can't buy me, you can't buy my vote, you can't buy me, you can't buy my vote, you are not richer. I am 15,000 naira richer than you now. He gave the man 20,000. Do you know what? The man was arrested, the man was disgraced. Obiano himself gave this woman, do you know how much? 1 million naira. So what am I trying to say? Akeredolu's wife actually represented us well, but to my greatest surprise, you have still dons in their large numbers in Ondo State. There were people that still stood on their foot, rallied round to lynch a woman, Mrs. Akeredolu, who was telling them that it wasn't right to sell your vote. It wasn't right to vote for APC. You people should have in toto or toto. You know, so toto is general, it means universal increase against APC. Toto. These people said they want to lynch her, they want to beat her. My brother, let me tell you, education has deteriorated in Yoruba land. No, there's no two ways about it. No state, provided since Ondo has failed to represent its motto, M-O-T-T-O, the ideology, the legacy Ondo is well known for. Today, Yoruba is gone in education-wise. Now, there's nobody, they have not proven to be whom they were, you know, known in the past anymore. So if you ask me, I will tell you that educationally, things has fallen apart. The center can no longer hold in Yoruba land. Tinubu has changed the narrative, the former narrative written by Baba Awolowo, blessed memory, and they has turned Yorubas into his slavery by using money to lure people of Ondo State, Ekiti, to sell their vote. It is a big shame and mockery of Yoruba land.
It's an unfortunate incident. Before I let you go, Mr. Raf, quickly, is this not the reason why in the southwest and even down to the north, the British were able to like conquer them easily? Because I mean, it's undemocratic for you to say you want to sell your vote, you want to sell your right. Yeah. Because I mean, it's just becoming, to me, it's becoming a shame. I mean,
becoming a thorough shame, and
because now the Yoruba politics is all about Baba Sope.
They are very
give me your right.
They are very gullible people. They can easily succumb to pressure. They can easily succumb to oppression, which is why I'm telling you that the Igbos are the most resilient people on the continent of Africa. It took the Britain 60 years to push us down, and they came with their Bible. They fought and fought, they left. We retreated and come back again as Igbo warriors, and we stood Britain for 60 years until the families, prominent families at Ogidi axis, Ogbunike and Onitsha, succumbed to Bible, not the British. Britain will succumb to the missionaries, not the British. British cannot conquer Igbo man. Yes, that was how things fall apart was written. We succumb to the Bible, the missionaries, whom Okonkwo the hero drew his knife from his church and went after the missionary, the man that gave him message that the highly esteemed white man want to see you. He was overwhelmingly angry, annoyed, appalled, irked by such message by the victim. He cut his head. He said, "Who are you? Highly esteemed white man, British man." Okonkwo cut his head into two. These are Igbo warriors I'm talking about here. So we are so resilient. The Britain, you see, British people could not even bend us to buy into their tradition, but it is Bible, the word of God, that the Igbo man come.
Thank you very much for that brilliant submission, Mr.
Into the Yoruba political culture, you will find out that they have this form of feudalist political ideology that is associated with whoever have the highest bidder. That is feudalism. Political feudalism is already there. So and there has been a lot of things. That was why somebody was saying yesterday that don't we think it is time for the Yorubas and Igbos to play a game along? Maybe somehow that it will interest the North, but that's not the question we are discussing today. The thing is that the reality on ground is that the kind of politics Bola Ahmed Tinubu has brought to southern part of the country, southwest especially, is going to cause Yorubas hundreds of years of backwardness in all ramifications. This is just the starting point. You are just seeing it, now. A time will come, they will be totally disarmed from the legacies Awolowo bequeathed to the Yorubas. And it's a very dangerous one. If you go really meet some top, literate, renowned, sound Yoruba man, he will tell you that he doesn't like Tinubu. You can see what is happening. Even at the Nigerian Union of Road Workers, where they did all their whole thing, they wanted to impose MC Olomo until court intervened. Not only that, in less than 2 hours or thereabout, the story went viral. Olomo's son came out and told the whole world that we are controlling Lagos and we will control the federal. And he has been sacked. You see the kind of culture that is being, impacted in the southwestern part of the country. It's a very dangerous one. So if you look at what is happening in Ondo, they've already created it. I told you that this is coming. The North are very careful at this point in time because they are studying the trend. They know when to move. They know when to stop. They know when to introduce. They know when to checkmate. So you can see the relationship that at every point in time politically, it looks as if that the Southwest is relevant politically, but they are not relevant.
The Southwest are not relevant.
Yeah, what I'm talking about, it looks, when something is cosmetic, it looks very beautiful. But if you look at the background, the root is rotten.
Terrible foundation.
You understand? But if you see the romance, it is being targeted two against one, the Igbo. But if you look deeply, when you bring a certain people from who are exposed intellectually, they will tell you that Igbos pretend as if they don't know what politics is all about. They are building capacity. By the time, you see, it does not take an Igbo man nothing to disarm the colonial masters. What did it take Azikiwe to do that? It is inbuilt. So the culture the man is bringing to Southwest is going to be very detrimental because it is moving. Look at the jihadis that is springing up and down are saying that the Southwest is not a threat. You know, do you understand? Do you understand that kind of something? And Tinubu went to Saudi Arabia, manned the podium, and started talking what he doesn't know.
I mean, it was a shame seeing Tinubu begging the Saudi Arabians to come and set up their Islamic administrative quarters.
You understand? So when they tell you that Muslim ticket, yes, it is on, but they know that there's a red line, and the red line has always been the Biafrans. So let them continue to inflate and ridicule the Southwesterners, which in the past we know them to be very sophisticated. I was in Ekiti when Bamidele was, I think, when he just left Lagos, when he was at the Federal House of Representatives, when he wanted to come out with for governorship or thereabout in Ekiti State. I was trying to do a feasibility study to find out the number of professors. You know, they say that Ekiti State have the largest number of professors in Southwest. As at that time, I went to the extent I met the former governor. I think Tinubu gave him an appointment now. The first civilian governor of Ekiti State. Something that Debayo, if I can remember. I went to his house. I had an interaction with him. Then he said, if what he's saying is correct, that I should go to some place. He gave me this, and I went to the king, to the Oba, or whatever they call him as at that time. But behold, what I discovered, the whole thing is deteriorating. It's not when you cut a tree that you begin to feel the wilderness of the leaves. The West is in trouble. And what Tinubu is trying to do is to bring down Gani Adams down completely, because Gani Adams understands this factor I'm telling you today. Raise those who are fanatics, who are feudalists, who has already enveloped themselves with the theory the North is so selling to the Southwest.
I mean, this is a scary
No.
this is a scary testimony coming from me.
He might not hear it.
I might be tempted to have to hand this because
he might not hear it. Okay, look at the man of God himself.
You mean the revered Adeboye?
Yes.
Becoming a sacrifice.
No, that's what I'm telling you. The damage is coming.
And these are supposed to be
these are the people
Yoruba leaders who are highly who are
better than politicians. These men you are seeing, they are peseters. If you know the level they occupy at the rim, Nigeria is not. Look at the rim, connect the internet, connect Nigeria to the internet. Nigeria has no network at the spiritual rim.
Mr. Chinedu,
you understand? But I'm not going to go deep into that. But what I'm saying is that I think it is time, they begin to build resistance. Before the thing get to a level of amankameme at the end of the day.
Well, these are words of consciousness. You are trying to reawaken the Yorubas who, of course, have not fallen into that ditch of psychophancy. Thank you very much for that brilliant submission, Mr. Chinedu, as usual. Thank you very much.